Hey, David. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. How's it going this fine evening? How we doing? It is 5 o'clock. It is Tuesday, July 11th, and it is time for 30 Minutes of Awesome. Hey, PD. If you want to chat with me, you want to make the requests, this item number 3 is all about 30 minutes of your request right here. We're going to do 30 minutes of request at least. So if you want to make requests, you got to be on the live stream. Number one, if you're watching this when it's not live, I'm sorry. You can make a request. I'll do my best to get you a chart, but maybe you should come back and next week when I'm live. So you should subscribe, which is over there on that side. And you should hit the bell with the notifications. And if YouTube thinks you'll watch it, you'll get a notification. So otherwise, I go live every morning about 9:15 before the market opens and cover what's moving for the day. Kimberly's here. Mary's here. Good. Hey, everybody. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. All right. If you're new here, make sure you shout it out. Let me know you're new. I love to welcome new people all the time. Got them constantly on the channel, but I love all of my returning viewers too. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if I say something that you like, or, maybe just that you're happy that I did analysis on your ticker. We've got something like 87 market days, roughly. It depends on how you pull the numbers. 87 days since that last 3% pullback. Calendar days, it's like over 120. That's pretty crazy. Usually we get 47 market days in between 3% pullbacks on the S&P 500. And it's been a lot more than that. We're in the top, getting close to the top 90th percentile, like 90% of the time. From World War II to now, 90% of the time we have had a pullback in the market, 3% by now. Like this duration from March 13th to now is one of the top 10% of bullish runs at this point. So what does that mean? Well, it means that there's a high likelihood chance that any day now we could experience a large pullback. Now, that kind of brings me into the item number 2 here. We have CPI coming up tomorrow. We have PPI coming up Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. Both those are 8:30 in the morning before the market opens. So both those are risks. If you didn't get yourself positioned for the risk of CPI tomorrow morning, you're too late. You could do so in the futures market, but the regular market is now off limits for options. You could potentially trade some aftermarket shares if you needed to. PPI coming up Thursday morning. Those things have historically been market movers so far this year. Then we have earnings kicking off kind of on Friday with financials getting going, and that's going to ramp up over the next couple weeks. Probably into August, the rest of the month, and we'll see some volatility on individual names as they report earnings. So we are here to do 30 minutes of awesome requests, but I always start out with a little bit of market analysis. So let's go ahead and hit the highlight on the calendar. We have CPI potentially coming in tomorrow on Wednesday at 8:30. We're expecting a 0.3 on the month over month. We're expecting 3.1 year over year, a drop from the 4% last time. I don't know. I'm seeing mixed news here. We've got online pricing coming down. We've got some stuff still raising. We've got used cars dropping for the second month in a row. We've got housing still climbing. This could go either way. We could see it level out. We could see it climb. We've been on a drop, expecting 3.1 right down about here. I don't know. We'll see what happens. This is still 4% inflation. That means that, prices are still going up. We're not dropping. We're just slowing down inflation on the consumer price index. Like this is, inflation that you and I feel. So core CPI expecting a 0.3. We got a 0.4 last time, and that's just month over month. I don't have the year over year read, but we're expecting a 0.3. This is what's interesting here. Month over month, we're expecting a 0.3 on the predicted. We got a 0.1 last time, and 0.1 put us at on the month or on the year over year put us at 4 if we get a 0.3, that I don't know if that's going to support a 3.1 or not here. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Yeah, slowing down on the maladjusted. Yeah, it's all, it's the whole market and all these economic numbers are all like, whose line is it anyway? The numbers are all made up and they adjust them after the fact. And the adjustments never make the news. So it's always about the announcement. They're doing a great job. Bidenomics all the way, right? Then PPI coming out on Thursday. We got the core PPI and PPI. We had a negative print last month and expecting a 0.2 this month. We did expect a negative 0.1 and we got a negative 0.3 last month. So this month we're expecting a month-over-month increase. And usually this lags actual CPI numbers. Producers produce things and then consumers buy those things. So this is the producer prices and then these roll into consumer prices. So this front ran inflation, and then we actually saw the inflation hitting the actual market after labor costs for producing were included, and then we got the labor and the labor and everything tied up into the consumer prices, which did this. So, and on the month-over-month basis, it's harder to see. You really need the year-over-year basis, and I don't have a chart for year-over-year on PPI. So makes it a little tougher to track down. So, what is CPI and PPI? That's Consumer Price Index. It's inflation, my man. Or my lady, Shay. I don't know. So if you're unfamiliar, these are Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers. They tend to move the markets. You may hear about this in the mainstream media. Now, the funny thing is sometimes CPI surprises the upside and the market pops. Sometimes CPI surprises the upside and the market drops, and vice versa. Sometimes it surprises to the downside, the market pops. Sometimes it surprises the downside and the market drops. So, does this have direct correlation to the market? No, absolutely not. Is this like a catalyst event, a reason that they can finger point at the market and say, oh, that's why it moved? Yes, absolutely. This is absolutely a finger-pointing catalyst for the market to move tomorrow morning. And we'll look at the charts here in just a minute and kind of determine which way I give odds for it going. PPI right here, also another one of those catalyst type events that can allow the market to move with no excuses. It's like a get out of jail free, let's move card. And we have unemployment also coming in Thursday morning at 8:30 along with the PPI numbers. So that'll all be gummed up together, and who knows which one they picked to harp on for why the market did whatever it does. All right, and then on Friday, consumer sentiment coming out right here. This one does tend to also be a market mover, but that is hitting while the market is open on Friday. So lots of fun numbers the rest of the week. That's the bottom line here. All right, lots of excuse catalysts for the rest of the week. Moving on to actually things that we can talk about. And apparently this reloaded and loaded all the alerts. So on the S&P 500 chart, the simple chart, just based on the closes, I've been using this chart for months. You can go all the way back to last summer and look at where I called the top here and kind of pointed to this area down here. And then in September, I kind of said, hey, we're probably near a bottom, but we could go down further. And it turned out we were at a bottom, and we bottomed and took off. And I harped on 4,300 for a long, long time. We finally got here. Now we are breaking 44.24, and the next likely upside target, 45.99, right there. We did bounce right off that 1272. Zoom this up even further for your viewing pleasure. Pull this back where you see the numbers. We came up right to the 1272, 44.24. We bounced right back down to the breakout level from over here. These breakout kind of levels, it was kind of a slushy level. And then we actually spiked down during the day and popped back up, pushing above, a little bit of resistance, attempting to break back higher now. This sets us up with just the standard normal pattern. It kind of sets us up to go to this 45.99 area right here. It's just a pattern that I follow all the time, point out every week during these shows. In fact, every day when I go live in the mornings, I point out this exact pattern. Bounce off the 1272, retrace back near the 100, and then push out to the 1618. You may be unfamiliar with these numbers. They're Fibonacci numbers. They're subconscious numbers that we behave by every day. The proportion of your hand are based on these numbers right here. Your fingers to your hand to your forearm. It's all based on these proportions. It's interesting, right? Lots of things in nature are this way. All right, moving on. So that's S&P 500. Today, this morning I was mentioning on the 30-minute chart here, zoom this back up, that if we retested and pushed higher, this made us likely to go on higher. We got rejected on that right near the close. If we can get back above that level overnight, we are likely going to a higher high than we saw right back here on the 30th of June. 30th of June. Tongue tie myself. So we're likely to go higher than that high. And this is the S&P 500 futures. Why the futures? Because they trade, except for this little hour right now, they trade 23 hours a day. So they'll reopen at 6 o'clock and start moving again, 6 o'clock p.m., and move all night. So I use these because they provide a more complete picture than the S&P 5 SPX cash index chart here that stopped at 4 o'clock and will not move again until 9:30 tomorrow. This thing tends to make some gaps and leaves blanks in the price action. So ES, you can think of that like SPY. You can trade it that way, SPX, options, things like that. And you can trade options right on ES, and those options trade 23 hours a day. So you can trade options right there for those of you that might be more savvy investors. In Q, this one's a little bit different story though. We did not make a higher high back here on the 30th. We did not make a higher high here on the 5th. We have made lower highs than what we saw right back here on January 16th. Or June. Why do I keep saying January? June 16th. That was the high. This was the lower high here on July 5th. The pattern, the most likely pattern that I usually kind of follow would be something like this. And we may drop down into this zone right here. Right in here. With a possible extension down into this orange support zone right down here. If we were to break below that zone, below these lows from back here in May and June, we could see a deeper retrace on down to this 13,400. Now, if you're like, JT, QQQ is not 13,400. That's okay. Divide by about 41. Divide these numbers here by about 41, and you get the QQQ prices. But you could just load up the QQQ chart, and while it looks a little different, it is still kind of the same. We may come back down to these levels around 357. All right. And if we break way on down, we could come down to 348 area where these lows were back here. And if it got really crazy, the level right in here around 333. So there you go. Just divide my numbers by 41. If you're like, hey, you said them way too fast, all you got to do is just drag the slider back on the bottom of the video. You can rewind. Even while I'm live, you can rewind and re-listen to something. I'm not an electrical engineer. I'm a civil construction engineer. I do some electric projects, but I am in no way competent to do electrical engineering. RTY, Russell here, small caps. This is looking pretty bullish when we zoom this up and look at it right here in the micro time, the smaller picture here. Look at this sucker. It is rallying. It is working on a breakout. The extension higher, 1955, 1991 in the short term. Probably pull back from there. May do the exact same pattern I kind of let off with the S&P, where we pop up right here. We retrace back to here, and then we pull on up like this. And then we would get a potentially another retrace, and then a bigger move. That bigger move can take us right up into this target zone, up around 21 to 2200 on Russell. And you know what? That kind of catches us up to this August high right here. Both SP 500 and NQ are above this August high, while Russell is lagging way down here below it. This is August last year. So Russell has huge opportunity to catch up. Just catching up would put us up into this orange zone right here at 2000. And to really start catching up, it needs to be up in this $21 to $2,200 area. All right. CL continues to grind higher after the OPEC meetings last week. Gonna go retest the roadmap line if we can possibly get above this high. It's kind of almost a done deal. We'll at least push up to the top of the roadmap line, probably go test 80, possibly 83 before we get a pullback. And it may do that kind of same sort of pattern where we pop up, we retrace back down, and then we pop up even bigger. Gold right here, potentially moving up off the roadmap line. 1950 is kind of my trigger area. I've got the alert at 1945, but 1950 is kind of my action price where I'm going to look for long in gold. Not yet. It can still turn down. It can still go lower. This is not overly bullish conviction in the move at this point. I'm just kind of waiting. The more conservative price is to wait for another 50 points higher up here around 2020, 2025 price area, 2023, somewhere in there. A move up through that is a more conservative entry for the move up to about 2150 to 2170 area right up in here. And my ideal price right around 2200 for gold right now, before, and that'd be just be before we saw another pullback and then another extension higher. So Bitcoin here, this is the Bitcoin futures chart, just kind of churning. Bitcoin, the actual, flip it over, the Bitcoin spot chart, kind of got a spike and then a rejection all day today. We saw that yesterday. We saw that again today. There was a fast one today. Spike, lower high, caution. That's just grinding. We did come up above the 30-minute roadmap line. We are above the 1-hour roadmap line, but that's not overall bullish, convincing move. That's kind of a squeezy kind of, you know, uptrend right here, but we've also got lower highs here. What's it going to do when we get to the end of this? Not sure yet. All right. Not sure yet. Silver. If you want to see Ethereum, I'll hit that in the morning, or I guess you can make a request. But silver just kind of churning a little bit. Stuck on the daily roadmap line. Not really being convincing. I need it to get back above 24 to convince me it's going to do the move to 31 at least, and 35 ultimately out to 2025 is really where my longer term target is. It may get there faster than that, but 2025 is where I'm positioned out to. On leaps, copper looks a little bearish. This is holding below the roadmap line, pushing lower, not looking bullish at all. At all. That's not bullish at all. All right. That's kind of the highlights. Everybody wants to know different commodities. If you got other commodities, you can let me know. I'll pull them up. Interest rates, whatever it is that tickles your fancy, I'll hit it. I saw natural gas in the chat while I was rolling through. We hit that one real quick. It's just doing nothing. It's a big inside. You know, we set this range back here in February up to March, February 23rd to March 1st, March 3rd, I guess March 3rd. So that was like 10 days, big range, and we've been inside ever since. Think about that. 10 days, set a range, and we've done nothing but consolidate inside that range ever since. It can keep consolidating. This is no pattern for going higher. This roadmap line may come down as this thing slowly drifts up and then rejects again and pushes lower. But right now, There's no conviction to go lower. There's no conviction to go higher. There's no real price pattern. This is overlapping, nasty, gnarly stuff. Sideways is what I expect. That's why there's a giant blue arrow on top of the orange box of the range going sideways. Is it tradable? Not in for anything. Any way I track these things. You could jump down and try to do some micro moves, but that's just not my thing. I like to take advantage of high probability swing trades that last a few days and make me big money. Like Airbnb is one that was breaking out today. My targets are up here around 183, 214, and 260 if it gets really crazy. I'd love to see another 40 points higher. That would be beautiful. And this one, I called it out days ago. Days ago, and it's starting to break out, and then I was up pretty good today. Another one that's up pretty good today, over 1,000% gain on this one. I loaded up back here on the retrace and the breakout, and my target is significantly higher, up here around 115, possibly up to 134 or even 160. That would be amazing. Ideally, I'd love to see about 150. I may give it up as we get to 115, 120. May close it out and just smile and be happy. Smile and wave, boys. As they say on Madagascar. All right, so there's a couple ones I'm in. All right, circling back. Hit the highlights. Hey, everybody. Michael, Maurizio, George, Aaron, PD. Let's see. I see the first one's BITO. It's just hanging out with Bitcoin. Not really. This one did not make a higher high. So it's like, what's going on here? But it is making a small consolidation. It's holding up well. It did pay a dividend, and that weighed in on it. If Bitcoin can break out of its consolidation here, this has the potential to run. It's not really a measured bounce setup. That would be all the way back down here. It's just kind of a consolidation, possible extension. My long held target, 20 to 21 area for now before the next big pullback. But, it can choose to do whatever it wants to do. This is based on the Bitcoin daily price index for the futures, not on actual Bitcoin itself. So this trades Bitcoin futures. When you look at the Bitcoin futures chart versus the actual Bitcoin chart, let me jump to the morning monster list because I have the Bitcoin futures chart there. You can see while we did poke up a little bit higher, we're just consolidating below that high, and it's churning a lot of churn in here. We don't have quite the volatility that we see in the spot price with the extra spikes because we're closed on Saturday and Sunday, essentially, Friday night to Sunday night. So this one doesn't trade in those for that 2 days. So we get a little bit of gappage. That's what happens here, and you see a few of the gaps. Bitcoin usually makes those moves. Funny enough, while the Bitcoin futures market is closed, we see some volatility creep in. I was noticing that pattern the last few days where we get a move from 5 to 6 p.m. in Bitcoin. It's kind of like it's freed up to move because the futures market's closed. The arbitration between the futures market and the spot market isn't there. So it's an interesting dynamic if you want to just watch nerdy chart stuff. If that kind of tickles your fancy about the market. Is it tradable? Not by us mere mortals. You got to have special powers. Anyway, coin is retesting, potentially breaking out above those highs. That close today is a close above. If it can hold on to it in the morning, that's going to be a beautiful thing. Probably going to get that 115 high test of the 115 area. And I just moved an alert, I think. Got a high right up here. Put it right on there, right at 115. Back here from August. I keep mentioning that August high. Coin lagging the August high. If we can break that August high, the ideal target I have is up here around 168, possibly as high as 230. Same exact pattern I look for over and over. This is a measured bounce pattern. This is the high probability target if we can break that resistance. This is the first thing I needed to happen was break above these highs. We need continuation over the coming days. break above that high from last August, and then game on for the targets. It's looking more and more likely that Coinbase is going to hold a large chunk of Bitcoin for a number of ETFs. Can't be anything but good news for Coinbase. It gives them firepower to argue against the SEC, and it gives them large clients that move high volume so they can make their fees, baby. So good news for that. MSTR is hitting targets and exceeding targets, and the upside further targets are probably up here around 445. A couple of people said, JT, I don't believe MSTR is going to get to that 394, and guess what? Got right up there, pushing right on through. Continue up to 413 after hours, and 445 is the next move up, possibly 473 above that. I'm climbing the fib ladder. But remember, the higher we go up the fib ladder, the bigger and faster the retrace may be when we get to resistance. So please be careful. But we've got a long way to go before we even get to a major resistance, something like the top up here around 900-ish, where these tops were. We're coming up close to where we bottomed right here and found support and bounced and then came up there again. So there is a little zone here that could provide a little resistance right in this zone. And then maybe not. We don't have much until we get up to those prior highs up there around that 900-ish price. So big upside potential on MicroStrategy. Big. But like I said, the higher we go on the fib without a retrace, I mean, we've gotten some big retraces in here, and we haven't done one in quite a while. Quite a big move. So be careful. Be careful chasing that one. Mara is trucking on its way to the next target. Next target up here at 20, and then 30 above that. That's the thing. I mean, we do have resistance at this prior high, right around 1830. The head and shoulders target puts it right up here at 31, 32-ish. Looks like it's playing out to me. Vanguard did buy a big chunk of Mara and Riot. So, like, big, when I say big chunk, it's like 30 million shares, $30 million worth of shares worth in Mara and Riot. Riot right up in the target zone. Beautiful. Stuff works. 20 is the furthest kind of upside target right now. 15 was the low target, 20 the high target, and at some point we're going to retrace. At some point we will retrace. Just keep it in mind. We do, look left. We have that significant high right up there at 24, 23, 24-ish. That may be what we go test next. If we can break above the $20 price area there. May get up to that and retrace. There you go. All right, Adobe. Yeah, resistance is right up here at the flip point. Comes from these highs. Zoom it up so you can see the candles. It came up, stalled out, retraced back to the point from where it broke out. Now going for the next attempt. May retrace again. It's kind of stuck in this zone until it can break out. 540-ish is that price area up right up there where I expect some resistance. All right, Amazon is just chugging. This one is lagging the rest of Big Tech. Big Tech is significantly above the August high, while Amazon is not. Leaves an outsized opportunity for Amazon to climb up and attempt to catch up. Has like a 19 to 20% upside potential. And I mean, that's it. Like, the first resistance is coming up just a little shy there, holding at the 786. That's not overly aggressively bullish, but the fact that it didn't just reject down kind of gives me the feeling that we're going to see this pop, and it can go fast. We can get it may wait for earnings. That would be it may wait for that earnings. We are in Prime Day right now, so that if they have a banger Prime Day and they're like bragging about it, come Thursday, Friday, then this thing might pop. And let's see. They need a win right now because they're lagging big tech so much. And then Google, yeah, coming back to the roadmap line. Expect pay a little higher high and come back, fade out. Back to the roadmap line, back to support. That's what I expect, somewhere around 110. All right, AI, that one's just been straight crazy and didn't make it all the way back to the roadmap line. I would be cautious. It's holding below the 618, has not been able to break above that. That may be the point from where we take the next leg down. Cautious. I would be super cautious. If we break above 45, then we're probably going right up here around 53 area. And that could take us up to 73, but I don't know. That's it's getting really crazy. This whole thing's been crazy, but that was a measured bounce. The measured bounce does play out up here in the $70 area, but it may experience a retrace here. Now that orange zone right there came from this consolidation, and it proved to be resistance. So we came right up there, and sellers came in and slammed it. We're coming back up to the 618, and we may get another slam. That next slam may take it right down. Yeah, right to the roadmap line, right? That'd be the perfect ideal spot. Right there. All right. Right, already covered. Disney. The attendance at Disney parks is abysmal. Be careful. My extension target lower is at 76 right now. This is a bearish pattern. It is bearish, holding there, extending bearish, not holding the 618 or the 76 on the retrace. Bearish, and this can easily do this final finishing move. Could go as low as 64, but 76 is more likely. Then maybe if it remains bearish, bounce up, retest the breakdown number, and then get the extension. Maybe like JT, I'm not seeing this at all though. But look at PayPal right here. Did the move, kind of holding this right here. If it can't break out, it can do the extension move down, 53. Be cautious. It can pop up, test the roadmap line again. I'm super cautious on that one. All right. ARE is another one that this one out to the 1272, back to the 100. Now working on breaking lower. My target there, 100. All right. The patterns are the patterns. So, just skipped a whole bunch. Back to BA. Yeah, target's 225. Nothing changed on that one. Came up shy of that 225 last time. Retrace deep, higher low, right back up 225 upside target. Roku is looking like 78, possibly 83. And then the bigger move could take it up here to 135. Beautiful move. That's one of the patterns. That was on the list. The list, wasn't it Sledge? Sledge here. He was raking in some dough on that one today. RBLX has resistance at this, where it turned down right here. I would be cautious until we get above that. And may not be able to do it till earnings time. And ATVI. So, FTC's ruling over here got overturned today. 95 is the deal price for the buyout from Microsoft. Unlikely to go above 95, which just happens to be the 1618. So this deal may happen, and we may go out at that price, at 95 price right there. This is supposed to close next month, I believe, this deal. So game back on in all jurisdictions except for the United Kingdom, England. Otherwise, worldwide, it's all clear. The runway is clear for Microsoft to buy Activision Blizzard. And they got a banger of a game out with Diablo 4. Moneymaker. All right. Thanks, Rick. I like me too. I think my wife likes me too. 4,930 move. FNGU. Right there. That is leveraged. So be careful. Leverage stuff does not follow my patterns necessarily, but that is a bearish pattern. And the downside would be right here. It can not do that. It can go higher. Breaking above 197 would indicate that it was probably going to 214. But right now, with that turn down and that hold of lower highs so far, just 2 in a row, it indicates that that's kind of the higher probability move at the moment. Really, it's kind of a coin flip zone with a higher low and a lower high. It's just a coin flip. I wouldn't be shorting it aggressively, and I would be either waiting to buy it here on a bounce or waiting to buy it here on a breakout for the current pattern. Waiting is the only thing I see on that one. NG already covered. Mara already covered. USO is popping. Oil is popping. I am long USO. Target right up there, 80. Yep, that's does have the potential to turn down one more time, but 80 is probably the extension higher here. All right. Don't have much to say about that one. YEXT. I don't think I've ever looked at that. Probably coming back to the roadmap line. And that was quite the extension on that move. Could hold here, could hold the breakout. It broke above those highs. Could hold that and go higher, but I don't know. The survey says we're probably highly likely to fill that gap, which we almost did, but didn't quite did it. So there's a a support zone right in here, and if it can turn higher, the aggressive entry above 1160, more conservatively above 1299, 13, and 15 would be the upside target, possibly 16. And low price stuff doesn't always work. $10 is right on the limit. Anything under $10 is like a little bit sketchy on my patterns. I mean, it kind of works, but not all the time. Just be careful. I would be careful on that one. WKHS Workhorse is pretty much a piece of garbage stock. That one's just likely to go out of business. I mean, let's be honest. They lose a ton of money. They've lost a ton of money. They continue to lose money. They didn't win the United States Postal Service contract. And things don't look very good. Probably going to do a reverse split as they dip below $1. And reverse splits are not bullish. All right. AEVA is another garbage chart. That's another one. Another garbage. All right. Nothing to say about that except that can go out of business. RVIN. Nice move. We adopted the Tesla charging standard. The head and shoulders played out beautifully. And we're kind of stalled out here. Stalled out. And we got back into this consolidation area. It's got resistance there, and really it kind of goes all the way up to those highs. It's got some significant upside to get through. It may turn down from here, retrace back to the roadmap line, build up a little more energy in this zone right here before it goes higher. Target for Airbnb. I had that up. Airbnb. Rewind it right there. 230, 220. Go rewind to the beginning. All right, went back and found it. THK. I don't know what that is. See, that's underneath the roadmap line and can extend lower. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. This is like probably come up to there, and it can go down 35. If it starts making higher highs, that's great. But right now, this looks pretty tragically horrible, and yeah, support down there around 33. And nothing bullish on that chart. All right. And futures, the lack of futures being open from 5 to 6 p.m. let it freeze up Bitcoin to move. So you can rewind and listen to what I said about it. S-Bucks underneath the roadmap line probably has a date with going lower. If it breaks above this consolidation right here, that would be an aggressive entry, but that's a lot of upside. It has left to work through. Got to get above that consolidation to really be interesting. It left a gap down over here too. So really, the conservative entry is like a breakout higher, and then 120, 127 for Starbucks. Forward. Potential breakout to head up to this $20 area. Do have significant resistance built up right in here. It churned right there before it dropped, and we're right at the bottom of that. Probably find a little resistance if it can break above that 20, and then maybe retrace back to this area where these highs were, and then go higher. I'm a 3 to 5 year bullish target up here around 70 and 120. It's gonna take a while. It's a long game, real long game. That's a investment, not a trade. Shop, or depends on how you look at it. Shop, target probably 74. Right there, DAL. And let's see what we can cook up on this one. Pop up, pop down, retrace, and yeah, 51 probably. Right in there. Probably pull back and then get the move up. If it's going to go bullish, 58 above that. We do have resistance right there. Oh, that works out almost too pretty right there. Look at that, right above that target. Makes sense. All right, makes sense for me. Yeah, you're welcome. What is it? De nada. Por favor, de nada. I don't know. There you go. AMD. Looks like it's headed back to the roadmap line. NVIDIA, just for good measure, is just hanging and has the potential to get a deep retrace. I don't care what everybody keeps saying. 550, 460 was my upside target. The higher it keeps going, the higher the likelihood of retracing. It does have support at the prior high there, and it could just hang here until the roadmap line kind of catches up here, retrace, and then go but it's like 39 times price to sales. Price to earnings is ridiculous, and they're gonna have to sell a lot more crap to justify this kind of price. Let's just put it that way. I don't care what everybody says. They've got to sell a lot more crap to justify this kind of high price. And DOCU looking kind of no bueno. That's lower highs. Below the roadmap line. Below this, pushing below the 618. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Feels kind of bearish. Can break out, but it's got to get above the roadmap line. It's got to get above that downtrend line now. That looks pretty bad. I mean, it potentially was going to do a measured bounce and then came right back down. Hasn't made a lower low, but there's nothing for me here. I'm sorry. LOY. Moving fib lines. Probably done. The 2.272 was a heck of an extension off of that last pullback. Probably coming back to at least the roadmap line, if not doing an echo of the prior pullback. Echo would look like this. Could take it back down to retest the breakout. I mean, 383. Watch out for that kind of retrace on Lily. MGM. We have to start imposing a new rule: 1 ticker per chat, unless you pay. You can always super chat, and I'll look at whatever you want in more detail. MGM, potential to break out. Resistance right there. Upside off the big correction. Use the 2-point fib tool and come in there and there. Pull that back over. 57 on the upside, if it can break out. It's got resistance, though. It's got some stuff to work through. All right. PLTR. I am in that one long term. Looking for 22 currently. I bought it back here in large quantity, and I'm up some ungodly nice amount of money. Just waiting for it to keep going. Right, I think I'm pushing 5 figures. PayPal already did. RBLX already did. ORCL is probably going to retrace. That was the target. Probably going to retrace. Nothing left for me for now. I mean, it could extend. Next extension 134. But it's probably going to come back at least the 100. Refill that gap. Maybe come back to the roadmap line before we get that next extension. Then SMCI is pushing ridiculous targets on the upside. 284. Looks like it hit that today. And one of these moves is going to be the end. And we're going to get a big retrace. Oh, it came up just shy at 284. 303 above that. And then bigger retrace probably. Roadmap line has a date with the roadmap line at some point, because that's been a wicked long time since we were there back here in January. All right, and TSLA. That one's highly likely to retrace back to retest the breakout. See, even with Toyota and Rivian announcing their adoption of the Tesla charging standard, still rolling over. I think 220, probably gonna come back to 220 at some point here. If it does that, then it really sets up a bullish potential to go much higher, up to the 320 to 350 area. All right, Boot Barn has a huge upside target. I already covered that earlier. You can go back to the beginning and watch that. WMINN. That is on the roadmap watch list for the week. If you want to subscribe, it's in the description. Go watch the video for that. Targets are up here, 124, 131. It's like $5. You can go get in Discord. You can watch the video for the week. Cover that and LVS. They're both on the list this week. MGPI. And Sledge, I know you have win. Come on, my man. I know you know that one. MGPI, potential to break out here. That's an aggressive entry, more conservatively above 114. Looking for 135, 147 on the upside. And then YCL looks pretty bad. Yeah. Doesn't matter which way you cut that one. I don't know. That could bounce here, but both those look pretty bad. That's an ultra. That's going to be leveraged. Be careful. FXY may be leveraged too. Could be a measured bounce. Let's see. Which way does it go? Japanese US? No, it's USD, JPY. Oh, they hit the target. So it's either coming back to the roadmap line here, or it's going to bounce from where it is and go on higher. That's a pretty sweet move, though. I actually called it. I was long some yen for a short period of time, or long USD JPY. Made a few pips. I do trade some Forex too. So, Sledge, if you haven't looked at this chart, I would keep track of that chart, not the YCL. It's just upside down. All right. UK said willing to consider. Yeah, I know what they said, but they got to make a new purchase plan on Activision Microsoft deal. They're the holdout. Take two. No pullback, so that makes it difficult to really kind of predict anything. Resistance coming up right up here. Nice big fat one. We're right in the bottom of it, so it's got some work to do, and that's a long way up too. I don't know. There's nothing high probability on that chart at all for me. It's not that I don't know what things are doing. It's just that doesn't look high probability. And then EA, nice pop. Sympathy play on, but that's significant resistance for anything here. Can pop up there, but it's probably got resistance at 146 area. And covered Mar and Riots. Already did that. You rewind. Lululemon. I think it's just LULU. There we go. And holding resistance. Has been unable to break out so far. Above that, could see a move on up to potentially 409. Me and Lulu don't get along. I have never traded Lulu profitably ever. All my trades on this tend to fail, so I don't trade it. That's overlapping mess and could lead to a move lower, but I see nothing high probability at the moment with the overlap and the gaps, and that's difficult to trade. There's no, out of all the things I follow, there's no high probability pattern here at all. Be careful. I wouldn't trade it with your money. I don't even know you that well, Ray. So, already did S-Bucks. MCD is probably gonna retrace the roadmap line. Could make an extension to 304, but or I guess now it's 303. Could go out to 303, but highly likely to go to retrace back down one more time. CHW. At the resistance. It can break out here. It can. Camping World. There's a lot of RV glut. It's tough in the RV business right now. Let's see what we got. Bigger picture. That's off the lowest low. Significant resistance right here. I'm not sure. That can easily go lower. Easily go lower. That doesn't look finished to the downside. Certainly not when you look at the move up. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we retraced. What did we retrace? 618. It could be done. I don't know. That now, if this thing does another 618 retrace, right back down to 24, holds that and turns higher, it's on like Donkey Kong, because that would be a measured bounce setup for going right up into this $50, $45 to $50 area. But right now, it's missing that move. I kind of need it to do that to do a high probability that. All right, like shop was one of these moves back here. It did that move up, retraced right there, held, turned up, and I made like 15,000% return on that pop. Trade some options. So, all right. CHW, how high can it go? I mean, that was it, you know. Kind of expect that retrace. So, all right. WDFC. I covered this morning. Gotta go watch this morning. Well up into the targets. Extensions probably going to find some resistance at some point up here. 261, maybe 274. Those are crazy numbers compared to how much it moved. But it's way down from where it came from. Could come back up and retest that point. 250. Come on. All right. And NIO. Stuck in the roadmap line. Significant resistance right over here. And if it can't maintain the roadmap line, it can easily extend way on down here, back to the lows. I would be careful chasing that one. That's a big downtrend. It's done this before and extended lower. Can do it again. Done it before, and she can do it again. Yeah. I hear you, Sledge, man. Lulu just, I don't know. Just don't get along with that one. Meta's the same book for me. I don't get along with Meta. I have done some successful trades on Meta, but I'd say probably 70% of the time I lose my money on Meta. I know it's going to fill this gap up to 320. I know it's going to do it. I can't put money on it. I'll lose my money. And there you go. Netflix is I have successfully traded Netflix, and Netflix has a date with 500. Maybe it does it on earnings. Maybe it gets a correction back to the roadmap line before it goes up to 500. There's 6 o'clock. Futures back open. Netflix is probably going up, and Apple has a significant resistance at this 199 area. could retrace back to 183, where we kind of topped out before it makes that final move. 220 above that. I think it may do a heartbreaker move, get up to this 199, and then do a significant retrace, because everybody thinks it's going above 200, and then surprise, it doesn't. So already did USO. You'll have to rewind. LYFT right there in the roadmap line. Significant resistance. Has a giant gap down that it's got to contend with. And that's kind of bearish at this point. Not significant. That's not a bullish move, setup move yet. I need to see more out of this, more than a 3-wave little correction up to the roadmap line, because it has done this before and we've gone lower. We're just coming up off of the lowest low that we've been ever. 90% of IPOs are bearish and result in lower lows. At some point, it'll find its support and move higher. You know, Facebook, once upon a time, did the same thing. Way back here, we did the IPO. It got super excited, and then we went lower low, made the lows, made a nice big corrective move up, retraced it, and kicked off the bullish move. The measured bounce right there. It's been nothing but giant up ever since then. Did a big correction here, and we've got some work to do. Get out of here. All right. Do you talk about the pairs on Discord? The pairs being Forex pairs? Not usually. There's not many Forex traders in my group. Usually US stocks. I watch Forex a little bit. I don't trade it much. Only got a few $1,000s over there. Anyway, I learned more in depth on Elliott Wave via the Forex market. Less news to worry about. So just lets you focus on the price. Honed some of my skills. Once you start ignoring the news, clarity, baby. Lots of stuff gets clarity. I do talk about cryptos quite a bit. That's a lot of crypto pairs. So, all right. Any final remarks? FTX, I see. FTX. Yeah, breaking out. Upside targets. Zoom it up, zoom it up, zoom it up. Yeah, getting up there. 265. Resistance 260 and the 265. That was beautiful. Right in the target. Got it. Nailed it. Pushing on up. 265. Could go 286, but retrace is getting likely. That was a heck of an extension off of that correction right there. All right. Your brain's tired? All right. I just hit a bunch of charts. It's been over an hour. Glad everybody had fun. I'll be back at this 9:15 in the morning, looking for what's moving for the day. Come join me. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button over there, all the way on the other side of the screen. And while you're at it, hit the bell with the doodads. And if YouTube thinks you watch this, it'll give you an alert that I'm going live. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you all. Bye for now. Oh, I'm a dumpster fire. There we go. Bye for now.